Hey, welcome back to our ASP.NET tutorial. We are doing form validation, and in the previous tutorials we have created a form that will accept an appointment for a doctor. Now we are going to create a response and display the information back to the user. So in the previous tutorials we did all the form validation. So now we are ready to make this form actually respond. So when I click Create, instead of just redisplaying the form, we're going to save it into the user model and then display it on another form. So to do this, let's go back into the controller where we were routing all of this information. So the controller that we made is called Appointment Controller. And you can see we have only one action called Index. So I'm going to copy and paste Index and then make a new method. So the new method we'll call as show appointment details. Now what is going on here? I've got an error message that says you can't do this. I put it in the wrong spot. So let's cut this out and put it up inside of the brackets. Okay, now everybody's happy. All right, so the fastest way to create this new view that will be show appointment details is to right click and choose add view. The new view is called show appointment details. And let's see what a template that would make sense would be. Well, we don't want to do create this time. We want to do a details template. It'll still show all the data, but it won't give us any data entry. Let's pick the appointment model. Let's leave these guys checked as is and choose add. All right, so we have a new view. It's called show appointment details. And you can see that we are displaying all of the information, appointments and all the rest. Now we're not quite done. We need to go back into the appointment controller and we need to accept a new piece of data. So the type of data that this form is expecting is to get an appointment model object. So it looks to me like I have to use this as an import again, or the using statement, and now it's accepted it. Now when we send the view out, we're going to do two things. So the two parameters that I need to put in here are the view name. So a show appointment details is the view name. Now also we are going to expect to send a model to it. So the appointment is what I'm going to send. Now just to see if this will work, I'm going to open up the show appointment model or the details and run the program. So when I run the program, it should show me some kind of a model display. But I have a message that says no parameterless constructor has been found or defined for this object. So I can fix that quite easily. Let's close this and fix it. So a constructor happens in the model. Let's go into the appointment model and scroll down. So I have a constructor, I just don't have one that has no parameters. So I will do a right click, generate a new constructor, and uncheck all of these guys and click OK. A very simple constructor indeed. Let's save that and try again. So let's go back to a show details and run it. So it looks to me like I have the appointment details page up. Now the default name is Shivago, but I don't have any of the other items that were defined in my input form. So I'm still not quite there. I haven't connected the two. So let's go into the index page under appointment views. Now the form itself, right here on line 10, is what is used to define the action. So there are two parameters. The first parameter is the action name. So the action name should be show appointment details. Now the hint below says you got the action name right. Now what controller is being used here? So the controller is called the appointment controller. So we'll just put in the word appointment. And then it'll direct it to the right spot. Okay, let's try that again. So I'm back to my data input. Let's put in my name here and my birth date, or no, it's not my birth date, it's my appointment date. So I want to be on Thursday. How much money do I have? I have $5 million or more. And the doctor, I have no idea. What's my pain level? I am at a 9. I need to see you now. Let's create it. And so you can see I have myself all of the information that is listed here. So I left out the name of the doctor, it looks like. I didn't fix that, but I did get my name, the appointment, the money, and the pain level. I'm rather puzzled actually when it comes to this default doctor's name. when I created the class here, it automatically assigned Zhivago as the default value. Now, you could see in the first occasion when I had a null object that Zhivago was actually created there. But when I filled out the form, it accepted the empty form value and then overwrote that. So I think there's another way that I could do this. There might be something more elegant, but this will work. If I go into the controller and check to see what the value is, I can then define it here. So just before we send the appointment back, I'm going to check to see what the value is. So I will check to see if the last name of the doctor is set to null, then I'm going to provide it a default. So the word Zhivago again. So there might be more creative ways to do this. There's probably something I'm doing wrong, but those of you that are smarter than I will probably leave comments in the questions below. So I'm going to fill out the form again. Let's put in my name. Let's pick the 10th for the date. And let's put in like $55 million. Leave the doctor alone and then some current pain level like 6. When I click submit, I do get a default doctor name now. So you can see that Zhivago is listed here and as well as the rest of the stuff that I created. So there's one more detail we should add to the controller. We want to check to see if the entire model is valid. Now you could say it was already checked at the form, why would you check it again here? Well, there could be some other types of programs such as Postman or some other tool that can submit an item to your application without it going through the form. And so we want to make sure that the item is valid before we send the final view. So we'll add one final if statement. We'll ask if the model state, and then we'll put a dot. And you can see that there's two choices that are obvious here. One is called is valid and the other is invalid. So we want to make sure that the model state is in a valid position or a valid state. And then we'll return the view that we normally wanted it to. If it is not in a valid state, then we would return them to somewhere else. So we can show them an error page, or in the case that I'm going to do here, I'm just going to send them back into the data entry form where they will see what was wrong with the data. So most of the work that we accomplished here was in the model. So you can see we had required fields and minimum lengths and date formats and other items. So instead of immediately going into your HTML code, when you're in an MVC framework like C# here, you think of the model as the place where you can define the validation. So I hope that was helpful, and we'll move on with the next tutorial in just a moment.